Everyone, tonight I'm here once again to give you free legal advice. This is an opportunity for most of you out there to have free legal advice. Proudly sponsored by CITI Law Solicitors. Now, for the past few weeks, I've been concentrating on immigration. I've looked at various areas of immigration, including skilled workers, those with global talents who can immigrate from abroad and come in. And I've been quite clear that following the Brexit, there have been a hindrance, impediment to free movement of EU nationals, and therefore there is an opportunity for those of you out there globally to rely on the skilled worker route, which have various categories, to come to the UK. But tonight I am not here for migration. Tonight I'm here to look broadly at family law. And of course, whenever we discuss family law, I was just telling a friend who was saying that it looks like most of the programs you have done so far are connected to divorce. I said, yes, but in most cases, when you're looking at family law, especially private law, we have the public aspect, which looks at the child protection and all those stuff. But normally for private, it looks at the family relationship. And when there is a dispute and separation, people want to go their separate ways. How the matrimonial pot becomes a source of battle. People fight so much over it. So sometimes people have misconception, and this leads to what they call protracted litigation and ends up dissipating the very asset. So tonight I am here, as I do always, to tackle this topic head on by making sure that you out there can benefit from my discussion tonight. And I always say that I want to make this program quite interactive, so if you have questions that you want to ask at the end of my show, if you have any contribution that you want to make, you are very welcome to phone in, to type in your question, or to make a contribution to this wonderful show, which is brought to you by CITI Law Solicitors every Tuesday and this time Wednesday. On Tuesday we do this program in English. I do it alone normally in English, and then on Wednesday the famous MC Chaka, DJ Chaka, hosts this show in the Twi language. So tonight I'm going to be here alone for a very short moment, so that I can fulfill the corporate social responsibility of CITI Law Solicitors to you as a member of the public. I get enthralled most times when viewers who watch some of these programs on our YouTube get in touch and just get so excited about the kind of detailed advice that sometimes resolves most of the problems that they have been facing. I mean, resolving the difficult conundrum for most people at large. So tonight, I want you to be part of this show. And please share the link with your friends and family members who may also have to be interested in this particular topic under this family law, because it's so important that this may be connected to your brother, your sister, yourself. Even if you are not in a relationship now, you say probably will be in a relationship in the future. So it's a topic that is quite essential. It's inevitable that you find it one way or the other in your life. So, as I do always, I'm going to go on a short commercial break, and when I come back within a matter of a minute, I'm going to take my time to tackle this topic head on. So please don't go away. you so much for your patience. As I said for my introduction, tonight I'm looking at family law. Most of you who have been following us will probably be aware that for the past weeks we'll be looking mainly at immigration, looking at the various categories of immigration, including skilled worker rules, and how people can rely on those rules and migrate or switch their lives whilst they are in UK. But tonight I'm looking at family law because, as I say always, CITI Law Solicitors will bring you the variety by looking at various areas of the law. And therefore, obviously, we have to discuss family law at some point because that is one of the specialist areas that we are accredited, and therefore sometimes it's privileged to be here to give free advice. Now, if you have joined us for the first time, I want to welcome you on board. We do this program every Tuesday in English, and then on Wednesday we do it in Chi, and the program is hosted by MC Chaka or DJ Chaka. Tonight I'm going to do this in English all by myself here. So at some stage it might appear a bit boring because I'm the only person talking to you. That's why I want you guys to participate and make comments and make contributions and ask questions. Because I say that most time when I'm here, sadly, I am not a doctor, therefore I cannot give any diagnosis. I am not a pharmacist, I don't give prescriptions. I'm not a mediator, or I can't help build families. I am not a social worker. I am a lawyer. And obviously I know the law, especially in the areas that I practice. So tonight I'm here to give you free legal advice. And it's your opportunity to get this advice free of charge. And if you have questions, it's an opportunity for you to also ask questions. Right. So the topic I'm doing tonight under the family law, my friend said that it looks like most times we've done the family law, we looked at domestic abuse, we've looked at last time we did child arrangement order, and then I obviously did prenuptial agreement, helping people to build their relationship by being aware of the fact that if they want to go their separate ways, they might go at their own peril and they will not be able to benefit. And eventually, when I was making that presentation, it's a way to explain to viewers that helps to protect the marriage and the relationship to the extent that it reduces divorce. So when I put this topic out there tonight, one of my friends said, it looks like most of your topics is about this divorce. I said, look, it is not, because the last time when I did prenuptial agreements, it was rather building. But the point is that these things are going on day in, day out. In practice, we come across clients, and sometimes things happen that they may have to go their separate ways. But the most sad aspect of the whole episode is people litigating voraciously or being engaged in protracted litigation and dissipating the very assets that they want to distribute, which is part of the matrimonial pot. So tonight I am here to look at this particular topic. And just as somebody was so proud to watch our YouTube show on adoption, and then one of them was about retained right under immigration, it's a way for me to give people advice. Sometimes when they are involved in some of these situations, they know where they stand, because most times people end up getting so confused and being involved in protracted litigation and wasting so much time and it's not the best. So normally, obviously, this year April we had a change in the law. We had no fault divorce. Normally, when people end up going their separate ways, I always say that it is not the separation, it's not the fact that people are going their separate ways. That is normally what presents the most difficult aspect of the separation. It is the fact that people, because they are going their separate ways, want to get the best out of their matrimonial pot. And this means that what people have brought together as husband and wife. And if something happens and then they have to go there, when each one want the best, because at that point, my friends in Nigeria will say that, oh, guy, you're on your own. So because they are on their own, they want to make sure that they secure their best interests, including sometimes the children involved in the relationship. So the question is, how do you negotiate? How do you propose? How do you make reasonable offers and counter offers, or accept offers from the parties without being involved in protracted litigation? Now, it means that to do that, you need to understand the categories of the assets. What is matrimonial asset and what is not, or what in legal language we will say is separate. And those of you who have followed me for some time when I was doing the prenuptial agreement, I'm sure this topic is quite related to it. So you first have to understand what you are fighting for, because most times people fight and keep going to court and keep going to court. And sometimes it's quite frustrating for us lawyers, especially those of us who are very honest and want to be upfront with clients, want to tell them the truth, and especially for me with my economics background, take my time to do the calculations and say, look, this is what you are more likely to get. Now, I remember we had one of the clients that we were dealing with his case, and each time we raised the issue, she felt that there is so much out there for him. And eventually, he was not happy because we were not telling him what he wanted to hear. But in the end, he probably got less than what was proposed. So the point here is that people need to understand that when it gets to this stage where there is going to be division of the matrimonial asset or the marital asset, where people have decided to go on their separate ways. These days, when you look at a no-fault divorce, you cannot force somebody to stay in the relationship, because whether you respond or you acknowledge it, eventually, when the time span set out by the court elapses, it will obviously get to a conclusion where you will be forced to go your separate ways, whether you like it or not. But what holds people together is that assets, which normally we'll call financial order. And that is the part that sometimes makes some of these cases drags on for years, sometimes 3 years, 4 years. People are going to court and coming back from court and destroying the relationship that have been formed for years, rather than resorting to sometimes mediation and negotiation. I'm sure when I started this topic, somebody would have said, oh, lawyer, you like talking about this, but I'm giving you proper advice in a sense that if you listen to me attentively, you realize that every point I'm making here is in the interest of the parties. Interest of the parties in the sense that when the parties don't know where they stand, they tend to litigate unnecessarily. So when it gets to that stage, in most cases, when I say assets, matrimonial assets, people need to be aware that it is not the assets. First, I need to just explain the jurisdiction, which is whether or not the assets are here or they are abroad, and also what they call separate asset or non-matrimonial assets. Now, normally, matrimonial assets or marital assets is the assets that people have built over the years while they are in the relationship or they are in the marriage. So let's say Kojo and Amma got married, they bought a house somewhere in Manchester or Birmingham. They stayed in there for 10 years, 20 years. One of them probably committed adultery, one of them even fell out of love, and they decided to go their separate ways. And then Kojo and Amma may say that, look, this is the assets that we have brought together, we've made contribution towards it, and therefore if there is assets here that we are going our separate ways, then of course we need to divide it. And most times the court approach is equality, but sometimes the court digress or moves away from that standard basis, which is equality. So when Kojo and Amma have built this asset, it could be a house that they bought together, it could be a house that they have built abroad, it could be even shares that they have bought in a company, it could even be a company. These days people run care companies, people run cleaning companies, they form all these businesses. All these are stuff that, or it could even be one person doing it, the other person staying at home looking after the kids. So it means that these assets have been built over time whilst they are in the relationship or in the marriage. This become matrimonial asset. It's not separate. Now, so which one is separate? Here. So you find out that sometimes before Kojo entered into this relationship, Kojo probably had about 2 houses. Kojo have done very well in life, formed a relationship with Amma. Or Amma, these days I have friends who are women who are doing very well, and sometimes when they say that, look, if anybody that is coming into my life does not have the same thing that I have, then I'm not going to it. And I tend to advise them, look, you need CITI Law Solicitors to advise you, because don't allow what you have to stop you from entering into marriage or relationship because of fear of divorce. Because the law protects you. The law rewards hard work, but there are exceptional circumstances. So if you're a woman, for example, I hear a lot of female friends that I know who doesn't want to go there because they are waiting for their man to also have the same before they enter into a relationship with that man, because of the fear that obviously if there is a breakup, they might tend to lose some of the assets that they have struggled to gather on their own. So that asset that Amma owns before entering into this relationship is separate or non-matrimonial asset. Or maybe Amma would have had a father who is so rich and died, and he inherited asset from the father. So that is also separate. Non-matrimonial assets. Or Amma even owned businesses before entering into this relationship. That is separate. Non-matrimonial assets. So you realize that all these assets are separate in the sense that they have not been built over time. So if you think that you just entered into the relationship and you want to work out and everything will just be given to you, that lawyer is not advising you properly, because it's not. Right? So, because I always tell people the truth. So the point here is that that asset is separate. It's separate in the sense that it was acquired before the relationship was formed. It's separate in the sense that it was inherited before perhaps the relationship was formed. But there are exceptions. Sometimes the inherited assets is used to buy a property in joint names. So it's mingled, contaminated, becomes quite difficult. So it might even be a separate asset, but with time, that asset can become matrimonial assets. Why? Because probably that inherited, let's say one's father passed away, he inherited some assets, he used it to buy a property in the joint names of the couple, which is both parties, husband and wife, using whoever has inherited assets to buy in a joint name. It means that that property is owned jointly, and therefore that inheritance is not separate. It is not non-matrimonial asset, it now becomes part of the matrimonial asset. So you find out that assets that are non-matrimonial assets or separate eventually at some stage can become matrimonial assets. Now, so having explained the various categories of assets, matrimonial or separate and non-matrimonial assets, I've already said that matrimonial asset is assets that husband and wife have built over time whilst they form the relationship. Non-matrimonial asset is the one that the other party had before coming to join the relationship or inherited from a wealthy family member or father or uncle. That is separate. So if you are wealthy, you may still be in a relationship and still have a separate asset. But let's look at it this way. In most cases, there are few issues here. And here, it is the issue of need. Need. This is where the challenge, the difficulty is. And most times, this is where people get it wrong. Because people always think that if they have made the substantial contribution to the matrimonial asset, I've already explained what matrimonial asset is, marital assets. So if Kujo was the one that was always working, Kujo working so hard, 24 hours, whereas Amma is sleeping, Kujo has a problem. Because at this point, Kujo has made substantial contribution to the matrimonial asset in the sense that he is the one that is working very hard and gathering and building it up. Amma is probably sleeping most of the time, or Kujo is probably sleeping most of the time. Amma is vice versa, doing the other. Now, the starting point of the approach of the court is equality. And that equality does not always mean that you're going to share everything equal. No. That equality means that by being equal means that one person may have to get more than the other. That's the court's way of interpreting equality. So when we say the starting point is 50-50, it is not always the case. Because that may mean that one getting 35, the other getting, for example, 65. So at this point, when there is separate asset and there is matrimonial assets, these two categories of assets are owned by, let's say, for example, Kujo has the separate asset inherited from family members, maybe some houses here and there. There is matrimonial assets, house that he owns with the wife. So Kujo have this inherited assets stuck somewhere which is separate from the matrimonial assets. And there is unfortunate events of divorce where these matrimonial assets need to be divided. However, because of the fact that one of the parties have inherited these assets, and the fact that the standard of living enjoyed by Amma whilst is in the relationship needs to be maintained, it means that at this particular point, because Kujo was probably receiving a lot of rental income probably from the inherited assets, that raised the standard of living of the couple. And therefore, if there is this unfortunate event where they have to go their separate ways. The course takes the view that that standard of living that Kojo and Amma have been living must be maintained. That is equality. It means that under those circumstances, Amma may have to get about 70% of the matrimonial asset. Why? Kojo gets 30%. Because Kojo has a separate asset that brings him to almost the same 70%. So here you see that one way or the other, having inherited that asset, or having that separate asset, or having an asset in your name before you join the relationship, means that you may end up giving up with the one that have been built over time for the other party because of what? Need. At this point, I want to acknowledge viewers who are here. As I said today, I know that I enjoy this immigration so much, that's my passion, but we specialize in different areas of law, so most times I have to also, I know other people have other issues, and there is a variety. Maybe next week we have to look at personal injury. Tonight I'm doing family law, so if you have joined us for the first time, you can put a comment there and I'm going to acknowledge you. I have Kofi Amwate, who is a regular member of this. Kofi, thank you so much for joining us. I have Ernestina Kerry, who gave a wonderful testimony last week. I'm so grateful for the testimony, the good testimonies that most of you who take the time and then come out and praise us for the good work we'll be doing for you. He said, I'm with my family. And then I have Christopher King said, nice work. I have Winfred Chati Annan, who is watching. Winfred said, well done there. Thank you. I have Kopena Atta Kakra Forsen, who is also watching. I have Fred Asari watching. I have Richie Surex, who is also watching. Desmond, thank you so much for always being here. I have Edmond Atta Payne watching tonight. Sophia Asong, who is also a regular member of this show, is a good evening lawyer. Sophia, good evening to you too. I have Yao Ousu, another regular member. I have John Atta. John Atta, please, if you are watching, I will want to acknowledge you. If you can just send a message so that I can acknowledge you. I have Vida Thompson, who is also watching tonight. I say, I'm grateful, lawyer. Thanks, Vida. Thank you so much for joining us. I have Augustine Piazza. Augustine Piazza is also watching. That's once I'm watching you live. Thanks, lawyer, for the good job. I have Barry John Hockley. Barry John Hockley is also watching tonight. I have Ruse AL. Sorry if I haven't pronounced your name properly. Augustine Piazza said, watching from Elibo, that's my hometown. Right, so I've got a couple of guys here with me tonight, and I'm so thrilled that most of you always join us to have this wonderful show for the community. So, as I said, I have been looking at family law tonight. If you have just joined me, I've been looking at family law in terms of how matrimonial assets are divided when people have to go their separate ways. And also trying to explain to people that they should not be perturbed or discouraged for entering into a relationship for the fear of maybe losing assets when there is divorce, because I've explained to viewers that in most cases there are two separate assets. There is a matrimonial asset brought over time, and there is asset that is non-matrimonial. But there is a danger that eventually might end up becoming matrimonial assets. So that's what I've been doing tonight. So, coming to the summary of this whole show, I want to emphasize here that in most cases, these basic stuffs needs to be understood. And if people were to understand some of these things, the delay, the acrimony, and the fight and the protracted litigation can most times be avoided. But sadly, most times people either lack this legal knowledge or perhaps not properly advised on issues, and there is a risk of most of these assets being dissipated. What I mean is that obviously the more this case drags on, the likelihood of legal costs rising so high because hours are paid for. So I have been looking at it in a way that people, one, can be encouraged to enter into relationships because they can have separate assets. And of course, I always say that CITI law solicitors is a family law accredited. And sometimes when I start some of these topics, people have this misconception that I'm talking about divorce. No. From experience, from practice, we know that most times a lot of this divorce that goes on in marriages is sheer misunderstanding. Sometimes people thinking that they are better off breaking the marriage than staying in it. And eventually they find out that it is not the case because of misunderstanding of some of these concepts. And that's why sometimes it saddens me when people go through this under some of these erroneous impressions. So tonight I have taken the opportunity, contrary to what people might be frowned upon by discussing some of these things openly, which we all know that most of you go into it privately. So I've been taking my time to explain some of these things by encouraging the first category of people those who own assets and probably don't want to enter a relationship, that you can still have separate assets. I've done prenuptial agreement on this platform. If you have not watched it, you can go and watch it, and then you will learn a lot from it. Matrimonial assets built over time becomes part of the family, and the starting point of the court is looking at in terms of equality. Equality doesn't mean that it has to be equal 50-50. No. Equality looks at need. The need in the sense that if the standard of living that enjoyed by the couple whilst they are in a marriage, if they were to go their separate ways, then of course. So that's why you realize that most of all these celebrity divorces, where some of those who are not well off end up getting a chunk of the funds from the one who is well off, because of the fact that the one that is not well off, who has been accustomed to the lifestyle provided by the other party, by being in that relationship, then that lifestyle needs to be maintained. So there is a need factor here. And that means that he cannot go empty-handed. So even though the other party who is well off brought in a separate asset, that separate asset will be divided one way or the other, so that the other party can maintain that lifestyle, standard of living, enjoy it whilst in that relationship. So that is one point that I want viewers to take into account. The other factor is the fact that if there is no issue of need, then, so let's say for example, relationship, that again, those of you who enter into relationship within a matter of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you want to come out, I hear clients that sometimes we interact with. The moment a house is bought, within 2-3 years, they want divorce. Really? A marriage of 2-3 years, you have not built any matrimonial assets. And because you have not built any matrimonial assets, you are better off staying in that marriage, because there is no white angel out there. But people feel they are of the view that, oh, this property is sitting here. If I were to leave today, everything comes onto me, especially those who sometimes have children. But it's not always like that. I have taken my time to explain some of these things. If you have just joined me, I'm sure that when I leave this studio, you can still watch and listen what I've discussed. So at this point, I'm going to open the phone lines as I do always. And if there is anybody who has question or contribution to make to this show, you are welcome to do so. Now, the phone lines are on the screen. If you want to ask any question, I've got the phone lines here on the screen. I have 0744 033 8623. That's the first studio number if you want to call or make any contribution or ask any legal question. I am here for family law, employment law, immigration, civil litigation, personal injury, clinical. I am here for all your questions tonight. This is the only place that you get free legal advice, quality free legal advice. Now, the second studio number is 0793 293 4518. This is the second studio number. So if you want to phone in to make any contribution, ask any question, you're welcome. Right. Yesterday, I have just a short update. Yesterday there was announcement that at long last the legal aid has been widened. When I say legal aid, it means that people who go to lawyers and then they get help from lawyers and the government pays for the lawyers' services. They don't pay. So normally when some people, especially a lawyer that have legal aid contract, if you go to him, there are certain categories of cases, not all cases. There are some cases that if you go to them, then you get legal help from the lawyer and then the government pays that lawyer. You don't pay a penny. Now, yesterday there was an announcement that especially those of you who will be going through eviction, maybe you have rent arrears issues, maybe landlords want to take the property from you. There has been a widening of the legal aid to cover these categories of people who can get legal aid or legal assistance if they are in that situation. I think 3 weeks ago we had to go to court to represent our client who was facing eviction proceedings, and at the end of the hearing we were able to prevent the eviction. We were able to get a claim in the pipeline in favor of our client for not putting the deposit in the scheme, and also for disrepair and all that. When I'm coming to do my advert, I'm going to tell you guys some of the things. But this is a legal update. The legal aid is now going to cover this area. Domestic abuse, most of you, I'm doing family law tonight, but you realize that when this Domestic Abuse Act 2020 came into place, I took my time to explain to viewers. Again, these people, those who are suffering abuse in relationships, they have widened the legal aid to cover them. So it means that, for example, if you have problem that you want to make non-molestation order application or occupation order whereby you are living in a household and one of the parties is abusing the other. These days, there is a widening definition of domestic abuse. It could be economic, it could be psychological, it could be physical, where you beat up the person with bruises on their face and all that. Economical, where you try to hold on to their finances and restrict them from making a choice in terms of their expenditure. So all that is an abuse. So these guys have also been added to the legal aid scheme, where they can get legal assistance free of charge if they ever went to any lawyer and they are in any of this. So these are the two widening areas that eventually is coming into force, that have been announced by the Minister for Justice. So before I go, I always have to advertise CITI Law Solicitors, because this program is proudly sponsored by CITI Law Solicitors. Now, CITI Law Solicitors, if you want to visit us, if you want to come to our offices, we are in Barking, in London, is Unit 113 and 122, Barking Enterprise Center, 50 Cambridge Road, Barking, IG 11 8FJ. And our telephone number, please, if you are a client, if you're a potential client, kindly take note of the office number. It's also on the scrolling screen. It's 020 33 55 0782. That is our office number. I repeat, 020 33 55 0782. You can always contact us. Our team is ready to serve, to take up your case. So each time you contact it, there will be somebody who will be willing and able to assist. It doesn't matter. I always say that CITI Law Solicitors is a one-stop law firm where all your legal matters can be resolved. Why? Because we specialize in the following areas of law. Immigration. We deal with all kinds of immigration matters. We are applying for licenses for companies, not just care companies. Care companies, we've got so many licenses for our clients who are now bringing people from India, Asia. Of course, India is part of Asia, but I mean all over Asia, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. We are getting licenses for companies. We don't just apply license for care companies. We apply license for any company that is on the shortage list, including those whom we can assist to make an application for a license to sponsor somebody either in country or abroad. So we're dealing with this aspect of business immigration, not just family immigration. Now, with family immigration, we assist those who want to bring their wives and children. I love defending these children in the immigration tribunal and making sure that Home Office decisions, which sometimes is absurd, can be overturned by the judges, and these children can be able to join their parents here and enjoy the same lifestyle their parents are enjoying here, rather than wallowing in some kinds of situation abroad while their parents are here weeping at night. So if you had any of those issues and you want us to assist you, you are warmly welcome. If you want to naturalize as British nationality, is one of the areas we also specialize in under the immigration law. We deal with some form of asylum cases as well. So every area of the immigration, EU law is still ongoing. There's a remnants of the cases that we are dealing with. So we deal with all those cases. Family law, this is what I've been discussing tonight. If you want to make child arrangement order to see your children or a child, we'll be here to assist you. We also can assist you if there is a domestic abuse and you want to make an application for non-molestation order or occupation order to take the abuser from. These days, police under the Domestic Abuse Act have powers to issue notices and penalties to those who commit domestic abuse in the household, which then means that they can now be charged. It's a criminal offense. So it is for this reason that they have introduced this legal aid, because sometimes people also lie against other parties. And therefore, if you want us to defend you against that person who wants you to go to prison, family law, we are family law accredited. You can always get a best service from us, from the team. Personal injury, clinical negligence. Again, we are a Ghanaian firm that we don't just provide service on immigration. If you ever had an accident, that is not your fault. We are here to assist in these areas of the law. If somebody is owing you and he doesn't want to pay, again, we'll be here to assist you to pursue the person to get that funds for you. Because sometimes people feel that because it's not criminal offense to owe, most times people just take people's money or they enter into contract, they don't deliver, and they feel that whoever is owed cannot take any action against them, because there are a lot of steps that we can take against those people who want to run away with your money or your funds, or you've provided a service to that they don't want to fulfill their own side of the bargain. Employment law is very specialist area, and again we specialize in employment law. If you have been unfairly dismissed, if you have suffered bullying and harassment at the workplace, if for whatever reason you have suffered discrimination at the workplace, I always say that discrimination can be between two black people from different ethnic origin. It could be between two white people. Yeah, nationality. You could be Polish and English. There can still be discrimination. Go and check the definition of that Section 9 of the Equality Act 2010. Again, religious discrimination. All these things happen at the workplace. In most cases, yes, it is not even the workplace. Public places as well, they are all covered. So if you ever had any of these issues and you want a lawyer to assist you, don't go far. CITI law, solicitors, we are here to assist you. Consumer law, those of you who make purchases and sometimes products come damaged. Sometimes you have insurance claim. For the past few days, we've had some few weeks, if not months, we've had some clients from the Caribbean origin, which is interesting, having issues with consumer law and CITI law, taking up those cases and trying to assist to ensure that those insurance companies who do want to pay, because they always try to wiggle out, will be able to assist you on those grounds. So guys, it's been quite privileged to have you all tonight. I know Winfred Chati Anan is still watching. I have Ifanye Monica. Ifanye Monica has also joined us. I have Nana Ndamai, who is also watching tonight. Nanandama is a good evening lawyer. As a student dependent, can I file for divorce and get married to a different man who has indefinite leave to me? Yes, you can. You can divorce, you can marry. The point is that in most cases, there is a 28 days or 14 days window. It's a bit technical, but you can actually divorce and get married. And I know that your concern is whether when you divorce, your visa automatically or instantly becomes invalid. Yes, you can actually divorce and then get married as a student dependent. So it is possible. I have John Atakwasi. I have Abigail Asare, who is also watching. Governor Ataf Forsten, I think I have acknowledged you already. So Nana Ndamai, I think I have answered your question, but this is quite technical because there is some 28 days window there about that. You normally have to be much aware of it, but obviously it is possible. If you have fallen out of love and then you want to divorce and marry somebody who have indefinitely remained because you love that person, yes, you can do that. So, since there are no many questions, I want to thank all of you out there who have taken the time to be part of this show. Tomorrow, the same time from 9 p.m., we are going to be here in this studio. MC Chaka is going to host the show in Twi language. So everything I've discussed here, we are going to discuss it again in Twi, and I'm sure that most of you, once again, will do us the honor and join us. I'm so grateful for you, and I wish God blessing upon all of you. God bless you.